The movie Home Alone has marked a whole generation, and today we still watch it with the same pleasure. But it's been more than 3 decades since then, and just like us, the actors have changed a lot. Would you like to know what happened to Harry Lime and Mary Merchants, the 2 pathetic burglars of the movie? And would you like to know how the facetious Kevin McAllister is doing today in life? Well, just watch this video until the end, and we promise you'll know everything. Let's go, let's get started! Joe Pesci is an actor whose name will always be associated with the mafia and the underworld, as his various interpretations of gangsters in the movies have been masterful. The actor from New Jersey had indeed literally burst the screen in 1990 with his role of the psychopathic criminal Tommy DeVito in the film that became cult, Goodfellas. His exceptional performance in this film had earned him the only Oscar of his career, that of the Best Actor in a Supporting Role. But after being asked to play only gangster roles, Joe Pesci got a little tired of it and decided to turn to other cinematographic registers, a little less dark and violent. So we find him in the cast of a family comedy, which will quickly become cult, Home Alone. Joe Pesci will play a gangster once again, but a failed gangster and so incompetent that he cannot even hurt a fly. His career as a great Hollywood actor was all set, but Joe Pesci surprised everyone in 1999 when he announced his retirement from the cinema. The brilliant actor wanted to devote himself more to his other passion, music, and he became more and more rare, until he completely disappeared from the radar. We will have to wait until 2019 to see him again in a gangster role in the excellent film The Irishman, directed by Martin Scorsese, and where he shares the poster with his old friend of always, Robert De Niro. Daniel Stern is a name that may not mean much to you, but if we show you his picture, you'll quickly know who it is. Yes, you've recognized him. He is indeed Marvin, one of the 2 pathetic burglars and protagonists of the movie Home Alone. Stern's film career began in 1979, but the actor had difficulty breaking through until his famous performance in 1990 in this film that has become a cult. His character of a stupid and clumsy thief became world famous, thanks to the phenomenal success of the film. The actor was then invited to take part in many film projects where he was confined to the roles of happy idiots, not very smart. It was not really to please Daniel Stern, who would have preferred to explore other registers more dramatic and more serious. The actor also decided to try his luck in directing what was to be his first and only film, Rookie of the Year. This comedy, which was rather funny and good-natured, was nevertheless literally burned by the critics, and his director career behind the camera was nipped in the bud. Daniel Stern disappeared completely from the screens without his absence even being noticed. After the worldwide success of the movie Home Alone, it was obvious that the studios were going to release a sequel soon enough. In fact, we had to wait only 2 years to see the sequel of this cult movie Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. We can say that the directors of the film did not go very far from the title, not for the scenario, since the film uses almost the same ingredients of the first opus. We can certainly not blame them, since you don't change a winning team and most of the actors of the first movie are back in the second version. However, some new characters have appeared, such as the Machiavellian Hector, the concierge of the New York Palace, brilliantly played by the very charismatic British actor Tim Curry. The latter will continue his cinematographic career after this film and will turn in several productions until 2011, when he will suddenly retire from the media scene. The health of Tim Curry had indeed greatly deteriorated, and in 2012 he suffered a stroke that unfortunately condemned him to a wheelchair. One of the key characters of the movie Home Alone is without a doubt the old father, Marley, Kevin McAllister's neighbor, who will help him against the 2 stupid burglars. With his beautiful white beard and his fatherly and protective attitude, old Marley could as easily seduce the mischievous Kevin as he did us viewers. But if this character was so charismatic, it is thanks to the great interpretation of the American actor Robert Blossom. The latter was already considered at the time as a true living legend of the cinema, with several great roles of the big screen to his credit. But it should be noted that at the time of the release of the film in 1990, the actor had already blown his 69th birthday, and this role was among his last appearances in the cinema, because after a career of more than 4 decades, Robert Blossom did not have too much strength to survey the film sets, which he will withdraw gradually until sinking into oblivion and general indifference. The poor actor will end his life totally alone in a retirement home in Santa Monica at the age of 87 years. Although he had a very minor role in the cult comedy Home Alone, the actor John Candy still managed to leave an incredible mark in the film with his charisma. His character of the musician Gus Polinski will indeed have lasted only a few minutes, but it was enough to remain engraved in the memories. The actor who excelled in the register of comedy nevertheless wanted to change register after the success of the film Mommy, I Missed the Plane. But his health problems continued unabated because Candy suffered from obesity and various harmful addictions, and his lifestyle was very unsavory. The sympathetic actor will finally succumb to a heart attack during his sleep in 1994 during the shooting of the film Pioneers in Spite of Themselves. Anyone who saw the movie Home Alone knows that Peter McAllister is Kevin's father, as well as the joyful flock of his brothers and sisters. This role of a good family man a little overwhelmed by events was played by the American actor John Hurt, then 44 years old. Hurt already had a great career behind him since he had played in dozens of productions and had entered Hollywood in 1977 for his very first film role. But it is indeed the character of Peter McAllister who will remain forever associated with John Hurt in the collective imagination and in the pop culture. This illustrious actor even used to be accosted in the street by fans of the film, who asked him for an autograph because they were too happy to meet Kevin's nice dad in real life. John Hurt will nevertheless continue his successful acting career, starring in many films on the big and small screen. He would eventually pass away at the age of 71 from a heart attack, while alone in a hotel room in Palo Alto, California on July 21, 2017. If you watch the end credits of Mommy Missed the Plane, you will see Kieran Culkin's name appear corresponding to the character of Fuller. In the movie, Fuller is Kevin's little cousin, the one who tends to drink too much soda at night and pee in bed. But in real life, Fuller is actually Kevin's little brother, since as you may have noticed, the two kids have the same last name. Kieran and Macaulay Culkin are brothers indeed, and the siblings are also made up of 4 other brothers and sisters. Kieran is only 80 years old when he plays in the film, which marks his very first appearance on screen. But unlike his illustrious brother, who was overwhelmed by fame and success, Kieran's career was much less glorious. While the cameras and lenses were constantly focused on Macaulay, Kieran had to redouble his efforts to try to get roles. And even if his acting was rather convincing, the young actor will not really have the opportunity to prove it to the general public, since most of the films in which he played will not have succeeded in marking the spirits. You remember Buzz McAllister, Kevin's bullying older brother, who doesn't let a day go by without attacking Kevin, both physically and psychologically. Buzz is one of the most detestable characters in the film. But like the entire cast, he has changed a lot in 32 years. You probably won't recognize him. But here is the evil Buzz today, in the guise of American actor Devin Reilly, now 45 years old. The actor was quite convincing in this role, which later opened the doors of Hollywood, where he will participate in several films and series. And with his very characteristic physique, he had no trouble landing the roles of villains such as the undead Pulaski in the blockbuster R.I.P.D. For the anecdote, you should know that Devin Reilly played his own character for the release of the remake of Home Alone in 2021. In this film produced by Disney, Devin indeed takes over the role of Buzz, who has grown up in the meantime and after returning to the ranks has become a police officer, all that is more respectable. And here is the undeniable star of the movie Home Alone, the adorable little Kevin, who was so brilliantly brought to the screen by Macaulay Culkin. The actor was introduced to the cinema and theaters in 1984 when he was only 4 years old, but his consecration as a child star will not be done until 1990, with the release of the cult film. Macaulay was 12 years old at the time, and very quickly he became one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood, and probably the most famous child on the planet. Macaulay was everywhere on TV and in magazines, and even in the clips of the king of pop Michael Jackson, with whom he was linked by a great friendship. The young boy was also solicited by Hollywood filmmakers and directors who all wanted to be able to display his name on the credits of their films. Macaulay Culkin will shoot several feature films with more or less success, without any of these films being able to reach the success of Home Alone. But unfortunately, because of the divorce of his parents and the unbearable yuck that his father made him live, Macaulay will turn to bad dependencies and drug addiction. The young actor will then disappear completely from the radar to reappear only several years later with a junky look and rather serious depressive problems. And to finish, we will find one of the most emblematic actresses of the movies Home Alone and its sequel, Home Alone 2: Lost in New York. It's about, and you'll have guessed it at first glance, Kevin's absent-minded mother, who is so overwhelmed by her children that she forgets one of them twice. Canadian-born actress Catherine O'Hara plays this role, and she does it brilliantly, since her interpretation of the role has won her praise from both the public and the film critics. The beautiful actress has not been idle after the film, since she has turned in a bevy of Hollywood productions, where she inherited secondary roles that she will interpret wonderfully, giving her characters a remarkable strength and presence. But for most of her fans who still meet her in the street, Catherine O'Hara will forever remain as the sympathetic but airheaded mother of the movie Home Alone. Now, tell us in the comments what you think of these actors who have marked the history of cinema in one of the most cult films of Hollywood. Which one of them impressed you the most? Don't forget to subscribe and click here to watch another of our videos.